Richard Sykes joined us today for the latest in our series of interviews with Middlesex Cricket's board directors. Richard, thank you for joining us. You're following hot on the heels from Eddie Villiers, who I caught up with last week, and coincidentally you and Eddie joined at exactly the same time. How did that arrival come about for you onto the Middlesex board?
Well, firstly, hello to everyone. I'm delighted to have this chance to talk to you on this video interview this morning. My first involvement and how I became involved with Middlesex was largely through my professional career at PwC, where I was very fortunate to spend 6 months working with Lord Wolfe on what was known as the Wolfe Report, the review of the International Cricket Council. And it enabled me to spend a good 6 months talking about the international cricket game and getting paid for it. So it was a really exciting time in my professional career. But on the back of that report, which came out in early 2012, I spent some time sort of talking to Ian Lovett and David Kendicks about the report and what it might mean for cricket more generally and Middlesex specifically, given that I was a member of Middlesex. So I sort of built the relationship with them, and they started to appreciate that I had some skills that might be of interest in due course for Middlesex. 2 or 3 years later, when I was approaching retirement from PwC, which was 2015-16, David actually made contact and said that he thought it'd be a good time to see if I could join the board of Middlesex and would I be interested, to which I naturally said yes. But he recognised the fact that most of the board members didn't actually know me. So therefore, he asked whether I'd use my professional experience to do a board effectiveness review, and through that process meet the board members, and hopefully on the back of that get the confidence of the board that I was an appropriate person to join the board. So I did that, and arguably you could say that was the start of the modernisation process of the governance of Middlesex that we've been going through ever since, and which I've been actively involved with. But that's pretty much how it came about.
Good stuff. You mentioned there, Richard, that you're a Middlesex member. You have been, I think I'm right in saying, since your university days. How much of a privilege is it for you now to find yourself sitting on the board of the club you've loved for so many years?
Well, it's interesting because I actually grew up in Southend, so my childhood days were spent watching Essex, but one of the first games I saw was Essex-Middlesex down at Southend in 1964, and I was flicking through my autograph album, which I still have, the other day, and I saw that one of the autographs there was Clive Radley. So to now be on the board with him all these years later is absolutely fantastic. You're right, I moved to Middlesex after university and played my club cricket firstly for North Middlesex until I spent 3 years in New York in the mid-80s, and when I came back I then joined Hampstead and then played for Hampstead for several years, and indeed was on the committee at Hampstead, etc. So I've always been involved with cricket in Middlesex. More recently I lived near the ground, and I think from 2008 onwards I've been sort of almost walking distance to Lords, so that's fantastic as well. And then most recently I was also extremely excited and privileged to be part of the interview panel when we were looking for appointing a new coach, which obviously led to the appointment of Stuart Law as a coach. So it all comes together beautifully. And then on top of that, the icing on the cake, I guess, was joining the board in the summer of 2016 and promptly winning the championship. But I don't think I can claim credit for that.
You've mentioned, Richard, when you joined the board, that was probably the start of a change in governance and a slight change in direction for the club moving forward. Obviously, sports administration has changed enormously over the many years that you've been following the club, but even more so, I guess, in recent years. What would you say are the key differences now to the way the club is run to perhaps the way it was 4 or 5 years ago when you joined?
Well, I think it's a wider sports issue, but it's all around professionalising sports governance. And I think, I was fortunate in my involvement with the Wolfe Report back in 2012, because that was fundamental to cricket starting to think about how it governed itself. And that, coupled with my wider experience and my wider governance experience in PwC, meant that I have been able to bring, I think, practical perspectives onto how we run Middlesex cricket. I'm also fortunate I can bring perspectives from other sports. I'm on the board of England Hockey, and I run Hampstead and Westminster Hockey Club just down the road from Lords in Maida Vale. So I've got perspectives of both the club game and the international game from a hockey point of view. And then also I do quite a lot of work with London Zoo and the Woodland Trust. So I've got sort of the environmental charitable insights as well. So I think bringing all that together from a practical point of view, coinciding at a time when Middlesex we wanted to look at how we could reform and update and modernise our governance to make it more encompassing, has come together really well. And I think that's why, what I like to think I can add to the discussions around the board table and my engagement with the board and the members as a whole in terms of how we look at how we govern Middlesex.
Part of that change of governance, Richard, I spoke to Eddie about this, was the club establishing some new subcommittees to better challenge the issues we face in the key areas of running the business. Now, you're chair of the cricket committee. You've talked about your experiences in cricket, and I can clearly see why you're chair of that group. Can you expand upon what that committee is doing and what are the issues you're currently dealing with?
Absolutely. I think just to position it, one of the key changes from a governance point of view that we recognised was important was to make sure that Middlesex Cricket looked at cricket across the whole of the county at every level, from the professional game, men and women, all the way down through the club game and also into diversity cricket, etc. So we recognised that there was an important need for the committee as a whole to embrace the whole of cricket in Middlesex. And as part of that, we decided we needed these committees in support of that. The Professional Cricket Committee is obviously the one I'm chairing, but we've also recognised the importance of the recreational game through the Recreational Committee as well, so that we're looking at the whole of cricket. So the Professional Cricket Committee is very much focused on providing strategic insight and support to Angus and Stuart and others and Danny. From a big picture point of view, we're not there to question the day-to-day decisions about, what's the team for this match or why did we bat when we won the toss, etc. It's very much providing some strategic support and insight to the cricket leadership within Middlesex. So that was an important part of it. And as part of that, from a strategic point of view, we're sort of having discussions around making sure we get the right balance strategically between red and white ball cricket. Obviously, a key part of our strategy is we want to win championships, but we also want to win white ball cricket. And we've seen a bit of that in the last season with more emphasis on the white ball cricket following Stuart's appointment. But at the same time, we also want to obviously get promoted and get back into Division 1, win the championship again. We want to make sure our players, as we develop them, are coming through and getting representative opportunities with England Lions or the full England squad, both red and white ball cricket. So it's great to see Tom Helm, for example, in the white ball squad that was announced yesterday for the upcoming one-day internationals and the white ball part of the season. So looking to see how we can provide the right environment for developing players all the way from the academy through into ideally representative cricket. So strategically, it's getting the balance between all that. We're fortunate that within the Middlesex board, we've got some very experienced cricketers available. So on the committee with me, I'm pretty much the only non-professional cricketer there, or certainly top-level cricketer, but we've got Mike Gatting, Clive Radley, and Marilyn Smith from the women's game, who's played a lot of women's cricket. So they're bringing, if you like, the direct Middlesex cricket insight to it. And then we're looking to bring in one or two other people from outside of the board to provide differing insights, maybe past players, maybe people from away from Middlesex, to make sure we've got that balance. But I think the important thing is to make sure that we're there to support and challenge Gus, Stuart and Danny without interfering in the day-to-day cricket, and at the same time making sure that when they need wider support across the board for whatever the decisions may be, we're there to, having discussed it with them, to then help promote it across the board as a whole, to make sure that their views and needs are being properly represented at the board level.
Thanks, Richard. You touched at the start of that on recreational cricket. The coronavirus pandemic that we're in the midst of obviously poses an enormous threat to the game at large. How closely are you working with clubs throughout the county in light of the crisis we're in, and what are we doing to protect the stability of the game across the county?
Well, I think the timing of the question is excellent, because we're fairly confident as of yesterday that club cricket's going to be able to start up again from this weekend onwards, and that's come about through a lot of preparation across Middlesex. led by Lorraine, led by Bob Baxter with the domestic leagues, etc., to make sure that as and when the government gave the go-ahead, we could promote and make sure the recreational game could start off again in Middlesex, because it is critical to this. It's critical to Middlesex cricket. That's the key part of it. If we were just playing professional cricket without any recreational club game, we'd be missing a huge aspect of everything. And it's the club game that underpins everything we do in Middlesex. And that's why we need to make sure we embrace not just the established leagues, which is the, if you like, the easier bit because we've got the relationships, but also a lot of the less formal cricket that goes on across Middlesex. We are a very diverse county, and there's a lot of diverse cricket going on, and we need to be seen to be representing all of that, promoting all of that, improving the facilities, etc. So that's the focus of what we are doing as part of the overall strategy of Middlesex, to make sure that Middlesex cricket lives up to what it says on the badge, that we represent cricket in Middlesex and not just parts of Middlesex.
Absolutely. A big part of the support that the recreational game has come through from the ECB, as it has for first-class counties, who, as far as I can see, have been doing an outstanding job in the background in protecting the future of the game. How closely have you and the committee been working with the ECB during lockdown?
Well, the relationship with the ECB is, as you absolutely rightly say, is critical because they've got the big picture voice. But between a number of us, we've all got different roles with the ECB. And obviously you've got Mike as our chairman being extremely influential, providing a lot of leadership with the other county chairs and the other counties in terms of making sure they work together to promote what's right for professional cricket. You've got Richard as a CEO doing something similar with the CEO Forum and with the Category C counties in particular. You've got Katie on the recreational side being very influential with the ECB discussions around what's the right return to play protocols, etc. So we've got a lot going on. Similarly, one of my other responsibilities, which I'm fortunate to do, is I sit on the ECB Regulatory Committee, which was set up a couple of years ago. I'm one of the couple of the representatives of the county game on that Regulatory Committee. So I get some insights from a regulatory point of view about return to play, medical insights, health and safety in the net environment, all of which can also be critical to the game as a whole. And others have got insights as well. So between us as a board, we've got pretty good links in with the ECB. We're fortunate that physically we're close by, but these days in lockdown that's been less important. But I think the relationship between the ECB and Middlesex is seen these days to be a strong, positive relationship, which makes it much easier for us to influence key decisions about returning to red ball cricket or whatever else it might be.
It must have been a fascinating journey for you. I mean, you've obviously been at the coalface of a lot of the decisions that are being made. You must be hugely frustrated, I guess, that we've had 4 months without a ball being bowled out in the middle, and it must be enormously satisfying to now sit back and turn on the TV and Test cricket to be back on. You mentioned recreational cricket starting this weekend, Middlesex men back in action 1st of August. It's been a long journey, but you must be happy that we're where we are now, some kind of normality.
Well, I think, it's almost relief. Relief is almost the better word, because I think when we first went into lockdown, we were seriously concerned that there wouldn't be any cricket this summer. That was a very realistic possibility. So to get to the stage where we are able to bring cricket to the membership, whether it's going to be in person with spectators back in Lords or Radlett or whatever, that's a challenge still. But the ability to at least make sure we're going to be able to stream Middlesex games to members from the beginning of August, both red ball and white ball, over a period of 2 to 3 months, at least that gives hopefully the members something to look forward to. And certainly from my point of view, it's great to see that something will come through from that. I've one of the initiatives, in fact, I think it was you kicked it off, was for us as board members to talk to members over the last 3 or 4 months with phone calls. And I've spoken to a number of members during that process. And the support we're getting back from the members as a whole is fantastic. They clearly appreciate the challenges we've been having, but equally they see themselves as part of Middlesex cricket, and again, not just a transactional relationship about turning up to watch a game of cricket every now and then. So that engagement and feeling of sort of the Middlesex family around the game is fantastic. The support we've got back from membership and from members as a whole is fantastic, and therefore the fact that we will be able to see our team out there playing from the beginning of August on the streaming or whatever else it might be is fantastic news. It is a relief, but equally it's come about through a huge amount of work that Richard, Lorraine and the team as a whole have done to get us there. So I think there's a huge amount of thanks to lots of people, and hopefully we will all benefit from that with watching some Middlesex cricket and hopefully some good performances out on the field.
Absolutely, Richard. I'd said the same to Eddie, and I'm sure I can speak on your behalf. Now that members can put a face to the name, I'm sure you'd be more than happy to stop and chat to any of them around the boundary just as soon as we're back at Lord's or any of the other outgrounds we're playing at. Absolutely.
And I think I've always tried to walk around with the badge on, but it's never quite that easy to break into conversations. But absolutely, one of the things I've always enjoyed about sport as a whole is the engagement with everyone who's involved with it. So I'm very open to that. I've said to the people I've spoken to on the phone that it'd be nice to meet them in person rather than just having a phone call. And I'll widen that to everyone, that I absolutely welcome the discussions back in the Middlesex room at Lord's or wherever else we might be. And if it means challenging us on what's happening on the Professional Cricket Committee in particular, then I'm very happy to talk about that as well. So it'd be a delight to get back and see people.
Good to hear. Well, Richard, look, I can't thank you enough for your time. I'm sure I certainly have been. I'm sure our members will be hugely encouraged to hear that cricket across the county is certainly in good hands. Thanks for your time. Thanks for explaining your role at the club. And we will no doubt catch up soon.
Thank you all very much. And I enjoyed the conversation. So thank you.
Thanks, Richard.